We're going to be making this dynamic weaving simulation using Blender geometry nodes. We're going to do this with a couple steps. We're taking a curved line to set some points, then we're going to displace them with a simulation zone, and then we're going to instance more points over time with another simulation zone and turn it into curves in order to make this effect. So we're in the scene, we're gonna go to geometry node, set a new system. We can just delete the initial geometry. We're gonna use that curve line like I was saying before, and that's gonna be what's driving the main effect. We'll displace on the y-axis. The reason why we're using the curve line is we can then resample it and have even spacing. So we're gonna do a resample curve, and then curve to points. Great, so we have these points, looking pretty good. Awesome. So the next thing we wanna think about is how are we gonna make the curve move? So the idea is we're gonna be having this system, right? Like kind of go back and forth. And we wanna just, as it's instancing, like drop the points in like a sequence to kind of have it kind of make this kind of wavy look. So what we can do really easily is we can have two types of motion for it. So let's just figure out how we're gonna do that. We can do a set position. If we just do this back and forth, it will go perfect. And then the X will be back and forth like that. So what if we take something like this and we did a combine XYZ, we pop this in, we use a scene time node, put the frame into here, and now it's just zooming off because that's what's happening. We'll do a math node. Let's say sine. Now it's going back and forth really quick, probably too quick. Let's add another math node and let's do divide. Let's say like 20. How is that looking? It's a bit better. I think the overall displacement is too much. Nice. So this is kind of coming through. We have some just points being moving around over time, which is cool. We can capture these points using a simulation zone. So I'm gonna put this into here like this. And then what we wanna do is we wanna do a join geometry. And then on every frame, we're gonna have these go down a little bit. So set position, like minus 0.1. So it's a bit too fast. Minus 0.01, 10 times less. Cool. We're getting any of these cool ribbony trail effects, which I think is kind of sweet. So now what we can do is we can also then turn this into curves really easily by, as these are coming in, we're gonna want to make sure we have the index of it. So we're gonna say capture attribute. All of these points, we're just gonna say, actually store named attribute. We can just say curve ID, and we're gonna do an index. And then what we're gonna do is take the vector, pop it in here as an integer, just kidding. Then we can say spline points to curves. They're now trying to connect everything across everything. I'm gonna do the attribute, pull this guy. Now it should just work. Nice. So now we have that nice attribute being passed and we have these curves generating and moving through. Cool. So the next thing we want to do is how can we make it kind of like weave with something else? The easy way of thinking about it is literally just taking a transform geometry right here. You pipe it in, do a join geometry, and we can add a reflection really easily. -1. And now they are reflected in. And if we just change the offset right here a little bit like that, and then there we go. They're kind of basically weaving together and it will move through and do its thing. Isn't that cool? It's moving through, but the curves are still a little messed up. So the way to fix it is if we do set spline type, we change this to NURBS, it's gonna blow up the overall size of the points, but it's gonna look way cleaner. Look at that, really clean curves, an easy effect. And what's cool is you can then change how you want it to kind of like move, and it will also work because we have this kind of symmetry driving factor right here. So that's really cool too. So let's say over time we wanted to then like impact something. So if we did a math node, we did a multiply, we had it go over time, and we do this, we're gonna get increased displacement, but it's still kind of work, which is cool. But that's not what we want to do off the top of our head. I'm curious if we were to do something weird. Let's do another math node here. Let's say multiply. Let's try index. Nice, this is still working. It's still moving as we would expect to see. And now we can kind of choose how it's going to move through. So rather than have it be these amount of points, nice. I think actually adding this index back here makes a more interesting shape. It adds a lot of complexity to it and it makes it look way more dynamic. I'm really happy with that actually. So we'll keep get 4 is nice. It repeats 3 times. Great. And now what we want to do is we want to add a, now I just remesh it. So remesh curve to mesh. Then it's going to be a curved circle. Pop this in, make it way less. It seems to be looking pretty good. Change the displacement between. It's looking cool. We can also take a spline parameter and plug it. That's also going to change it dynamically over time. If we did positive, so it's like 0.01, Make it looks good. It's perfect. You might want to add just a little bit of noise to it potentially. So let's try that. Noise, texture, add here. And then let's do a vector math. Let's just, yeah, it's moving through the vector field. So it's kind of messed up. I think not really happy with that. So then that's going to be a no. But this could all actually be packaged beforehand. This, nah, not too happy with it. I want it to be kind of perfect. This looks better. And then what we can do is we can also take this. Nice. So then I need to clean up the animation. We can have it, so what we can do is actually just generate it a bunch, and then we can have it actually move a certain spot, and that would actually be the same thing as a loop. So let's just do like, I don't know, 600 frames. Bake. Get it all baked, which is nice. It's almost like a loom or something. We're just printing the printing the material, which is kind of funny. Nice. So we printed it off, and we can add. Actually, we could, if we did this, we did it here, bake it here. Now we can change this. I think we want. I think that's fine. Let's just keep it with the factor. I think it looks nice. The factor, and then we can do is set material. Do that. Save this to braiding sim part 2. Cool. And then we're going to go into the material editor. Now we're in the material editor. And then from here, we can do all kinds. So let's just do my usual lazy material, which is just subsurface, max that up, 0.2, grab that in, light, nice. And then we turn on ray tracing. And then what we can do is change the colors. Let's make it look a bit planty, I guess. And the base color should be like a bluish green, maybe like this, like that. Pull it. It's kind of nice. And then we can have, if I do a volume color, let's see what happens. Principled volume. If I do this, will it impact it? Changes to red. No, it's not going to do anything. If I change the alpha, then it's visible. So the volume's not going to do anything, which is good to know. So then what we got to do instead is we're going to take this radius and say color, and let's do like a blue. If it did a blue, is that going to work? Yeah, so it's going to show through as blue with that. And I think we're going to actually want to take a factor of it, and then we're going to want to make it like a modulo or something going through. So we're going to do a store named attribute, which is, I guess, going to be here, here, and then it's going to be float curve. No, it's going to be the factor. So let's say spline. Cool. Copy this back into shape. Nice. And so I think if I multiply this by like 5, so we can do math, multiply 5. Then do this. I do modulo. Nice. So we're getting the start and end of it to be the same. If I want it to feel like it goes back and forth, maybe I do this instead. Shading will work. Ooh, max 1. Think about this. 0 to 1, 0 to 1 twice. Oh, I need to just ping pong this, I guess. No, yeah, that's the problem. So this is going to 0 to 1 twice. It's only one thing. So it has to be this. Now it's going from 0 to 5. If I ping pong this, maybe if it's length instead. Nice. So I was able to find a good material by messing around a couple things. Let me explain it to you guys. So I did a floored modulo in order with the spline factor. And I multiplied the spline factor by a little bit. And the factor is actually not the factor. It's actually the length. So that way it stays consistent over time. And so then if you look at the shading, what you can then do is also animate this over time too. So with one of these guys right here, you can then push these little guys, moving them down with the floored modulo right here. Then you just remap them. So then it can kind of move down and flow as you would expect to see. So let's just do that really quick with this. I guess a value node. We have to do a hash frame to hack it in, and then we're gonna do a math divide. Let's do like 20. See how fast this goes. It's pulsing up. Let's do minus 50. Actually, it should be minus 20. Now they're kind of moving through, which looks nice. Now we'll just render it out. Hope you guys liked it, and see you in the next one. If you want the project, make sure to go to my Patreon to grab it. It's free.
Augury.